Policing is too important to be left to the police alone. How people, policing and politics can work together to create a better service. On the 4th of November 2001, both the Policing Board and Police Service of Northern Ireland were established. This was a landmark day in the history of policing in Northern Ireland and started a change journey that has both reformed and transformed our policing structures and oversight arrangements. We now have strong accountability structures in place. We have a police service that is much more representative of the community, and since 2010 we have full political support for policing arrangements. Policing has been a central tenet of the Northern Irish peace process, and the 1999 Patent Report provided a blueprint for policing change and reform. It contained 175 recommendations to improve police accountability, with new democratic oversight structures through the Policing Board, establishing local policing forums, now called policing and community safety partnerships, embedding human rights and building community trust and relationship. All of this has been enshrined in legislation, and the change journey to implement those 175 recommendations was overseen by oversight commissioners from the US, such as Tom Constantine and Al Hutchinson. Through a policing with the community ethos, relationships between police and the community have been built. All of this change has only been possible because of the willingness of policing and people to be open to change, and people stepping forward to be a part of it. Sir Robert Peel's policing principles are almost 200 years old, but they have stood the test of time. They emphasise how the police are members of the public, entrusted with powers to undertake special duties, that their authority to exercise those powers comes from public approval and requires the willing cooperation of the public. That's where community oversight arrangements come in, both through local PCSPs in each of the districts of Northern Ireland and an overarching policing board to oversee delivery of policing across the region. The board has 19 members, 10 politicians and 9 independent community representatives. Politicians give the board, and by extension policing, a democratic mandate. The politicians come from all the main political parties in Northern Ireland, including Sinn Féin. Independent members give everyday community members a voice in how they are policed and bring a wealth of experience from a diversity of backgrounds. The board holds the Chief Constable to account both in meetings in public, which are live streamed, and through committee scrutiny. Having effective independent oversight is central to building trust, confidence and the legitimacy of policing. That also extends to the investigation of police complaints through the Ombudsman's Office. Our work is not a cushy relationship, nor is it meant to be. It is the job of the board to scrutinise the work of the police, but also to advocate for the work they do and to ensure that they have the resources they need to deliver. The board's primary statutory duty is to hold the Chief Constable to account for the delivery of the policing service, but we have over 50 duties to cover. Key to our work, and something only we focus on, is another of our statutory duties: monitoring the performance of the PSNI in complying with the Human Rights Act. Let's go back to Peel for a moment. As well as depending on public approval and securing public cooperation, he also spoke of the need for the police to use force proportionately, to use minimum force when necessary, and of the importance of acting with impartiality. Our Human Rights Monitoring Framework is how we hold the police to the standards set in the Human Rights Act 1998. The service is bound by a code of ethics first issued by the board in 2003, and the board monitors how the service meets its human rights duties with the assistance of an independent human rights advisor. Let's hear from him.
The approach of the board and PSNI to embedding human rights principles in the day-to-day policing has set the standard for policing nationally and internationally. Almost 25 years on, the PSNI is one of the most human rights aware police services globally. This is not by accident. It's through oversight and monitoring of work against a robust framework. The police necessarily have to have access to powers to keep us all safe. However, also necessarily there must be protections and safeguards for their use, as the public rightly expect that the police will comply with the law at all times. Human rights is good for policing. Adherence to human rights standards protects the rights of the police and the public alike.
To give you an idea of the volume of work we undertake in this space, in the last 5 years we've made almost 150 recommendations for improvement, bringing transparency to the work of policing, improving policy and processes, and advocating to government on the legislative changes needed to help the police do their job. The human rights-based approach provides officers with an important compass to navigate operational decisions, and one that ensures police actions are both proportionate and justified, issues that are fundamental for confidence in the service. Following recommendations from the board, the police are making progress in important areas such as tackling violence against women and girls, supporting vulnerable victims, training and awareness for officers on human rights issues, and importantly, we've also sought changes to make sure that inappropriate behaviours and misconduct by officers is dealt with in a way that builds confidence in the service. We've also advocated for more robust action against those who assault or attack police officers. We've published specific thematic reports on areas of policing, including looking at the use of force, the human rights of officers and staff, policing and children and young people, and in a world where new technology and artificial intelligence is becoming commonplace, issues around privacy and policing. The Code of Ethics and the Board's oversight and monitoring work is undoubtedly one of the success stories in advancing the human rights agenda within the PSNI and to building trust, confidence and legitimacy of policing within society. A police service that demonstrates through the actions of its officers that it is impartial and that it has the protection of human rights as its core value can secure the respect, support and help of local communities and is likely to be able to tackle crime and keep people safe more effectively. So, to sum it all up, in Northern Ireland, policing oversight is more than just a mechanism of law. It has been a foundation of our peace process and central to the delivery of the commitments made in the Peace Agreement of 1998. It works because there are a range of non-police people involved. The oversight they provide protects fairness, prevents abuse of power, and reassures community that policing belongs to everyone. Ingredients which remain essential to every modern policing service operating across the world today. To quote the Good Friday or Belfast Agreement of 1998, the participants in the negotiations believe it is essential that policing structures and arrangements are such that the police service is professional, effective and efficient, fair and impartial, free from partisan political control, accountable both under the law for its actions and to the community it serves, representative of the society it polices, and operates within a coherent and cooperative criminal justice system, which conforms with human rights norms.